What's good, everybody? Welcome back to
Mhm.
another Beyond the Usual with Paula Zay and Kalisha Lachey. You know what? That kind of rhymes. That was fire. Paula
That's
Zay.
crazy.
Nah,
That's crazy. That was not planned, y'all.
it really wasn't. It really wasn't. Welcome back, everybody. So today we have a pretty good topic to talk about. Got a couple of keynotes that we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about what do you need to stop doing to naturally vibrate higher? And instead of being patient, practice the art of patience, right? These are two very intricate topics and they align with each other so well because I feel like vibrating higher and having patience goes hand in hand because both require grace, right? Both require grace and both require time as well. The first one that we're going to be talking about, essentially, we all vibrate at a high level naturally, but it's the things that we do, right, that keep us at a low frequency. It's the things that we watch, it's the content that we interact with, it's the way that we speak, it's the things that we eat and consume through our five senses. These are the things that keep us at a naturally low state. But if you just stop doing these things, or at least replace the things that you are doing, you will start to vibrate at your natural level. Like everybody's always talking about raising your vibration, and that's fine. That's wonderful. But why not just stop doing the things that hinder you from vibrating higher, right? Because those are the things that really keep us from really evolving and becoming the greatest version of ourselves, right? And when it comes to patience, for me, I feel like there's a difference between being patient and then practicing the art of patience. Because when you're being patient or trying to be patient, it creates anticipation, which means that
Wait,
it,
wait, wait, wait. Hold on. Because I feel like this is a whole, like, let's pause before we even get into the patience.
okay.
Because I think there's definitely, that was a beautiful start with the vibrating higher in our frequency. Um, I was also thinking it's important to even think about like how it all started. Like when we think about like babies, right? Like babies are the purest forms of energy, like in at least in this, form. Um, that's why when you think about like kids and stuff, they're like babies are usually always happy. I mean, of course, you have some outliers that there's like medical reasonings and things like that, but for the most part, kids, babies, they're happy. They are just in a state of bliss. They are more like focused on themselves. Like, they're like about what can I get into? I'm curious. I'm like finding things that I can play with. It's all about like they naturally have a higher vibration. And it is not until we go through our life experiences that we get kind of tainted because we cause our experiences cause us to have certain beliefs and certain thoughts. And it's really that leads to us lowering our vibration as we grow. And if we think about that, because that's why like kids can have like imaginary friends and things like that, because their imagination is just, it's so powerful. They're just full of, I mean, I'll just say again, it's just, they're just not as tainted as us. So I think if we think about that, it makes it a little easier to think about the things that lower our frequency or our vibration in this sense. Again, like having unprocessed thoughts and emotions from certain things, essentially our triggers and our core wounds, is going to lower our frequency naturally. Like you said, of course, things that we eat. That's going to lower our frequency naturally.
Mm.
Even just our environments, the type of relationships that we're in. Like, if you are constantly like, you have that friend that's like, they're always negative, they're always like problem focused, and they just think the world is against them,
Mm.
that's going to lower your vibration.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like it's not just as well, honestly, it's as simple as what people think, like, oh, how does this person make me feel?
Mm.
You know, like, these are things that we have to think about on a daily basis, because I think it's not just like these big things that we have to think about and take out of our lives. It's really the small things that we do daily. Who's
Mm.
in your inner circle? What shows are you watching? What music are you listening to? Because it's
Mm.
not even just in the lyrics, it's in the frequency of the music too, whether we
Yeah.
think about it or not. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still like get down with some Meg Thee Stallion some days, but at the end of the day, I know like just listening to certain things like that, like all the time, is not going to keep me at the level that I want to be at, or the level that I'm optimizing my energy the most.
Yeah.
So I think that's like very important to remember.
Yeah. Nah, it's true. It's very true. I believe that all comes down to it all comes down to duality, right? Two things that comes to mind is duality and integration, right? Because most of us are, when you said we're born from pure light, right? We're untainted. We just have this energy about us that just feels new and pure and unharmed. And then we go through our lives and we experience things. And I feel like the things that we experience, I feel like that adds on to the higher vibration that we naturally feel, right? And everybody knows, if you do your research, that there's dark and there's light, right? You're a shadow work coach, so you know how it operates when it comes to like dealing with darkness and the shadows and the things that people have that are repressed, right? I feel like in order for you to naturally vibrate at a high level as well, to stop the things you should stop doing is integrating who you have become. Because a lot of people live with like the regret of like, oh, I've done this and this is a part of my past. And so they bring that into their present, and they may not like certain aspects of that, right? But it's a part of who they are because of the experience that it gave them. So they walk with that. And I feel like it comes down to like transforming the energy that you receive during your time or during the processes that you go through. Like, I was watching a podcast, right, the other day. I was watching a podcast the other day, and this guy, he was known as like a well-known pimp back in like the 60s and the 70s and things of that nature, right? And a lot of people identify him as still being that person or that character, that persona. And so anytime he tries to do something right, anytime he does something that is positive and uplifting to the community, there are those who still see them in that light. But the thing you have to understand is, in order for him to be the person that he is, he had to go through that period in his life where things just wasn't right, and he got drawn into certain circumstances and certain situations that probably weren't favorable. And I feel like the light that we have within us, no matter what the circumstances are and what the situation is, it's always going to outshine the darkness, because you're born naturally with this light, with this gift, with this presence, with this aura, and it's unmatched. It doesn't matter how much you go through, you always shine bright. That's why that's why one of my favorite flowers in the world is the lotus flower. Because if you recognize the environments that it grows in, you would think that a flower as beautiful as it is wouldn't grow in these conditions or in these circumstances, because it'd be muddy, moggy, like places. Like, how could a flower like this grow in these environments? but that's that light. And the darkness is what fills that light up, because the flower is using that darkness as fuel, and not as something, as a hindrance or as a negative thing. So I think it all just comes down to just integration and understanding that everything that you go through is for your evolution and not for your detriment.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because we in general, as humans, we want to feel good. We want to feel happy, or on the other side, we want to numb. And when you truly think about the things that um, we need to stop doing, whether, behaviors, thoughts, whatever it is, um, that lowers our frequency, most of those things are either to avoid feeling something or to numb the feeling.
Mm.
Like when you think about, okay, let's say, music, well, I won't say music, I'm trying to think of something like, people that smoke or something,
Mm.
um, a lot of times they're trying to numb like a pain or a feeling of guilt or rejection or abandonment or anger. Like it has to do with them trying to, navigate and avoid, essentially just avoid doing the work.
Mm.
And when you think about it from that perspective, us as humans, we tend to want that instant gratification.
Mm.
And when we're talking about what we need to stop doing so that we can naturally vibrate higher, essentially that is practicing delayed gratification, because it's I don't necessarily, like, this may not be the ultimate feeling I'm trying to get right now, but this is something that I need to do that's going to get me to this higher vibration, like in the future. This is what I'm working towards. This is essentially like a goal that I have. And this is going to get me up there. This is not going to, but right now, it's not going to give me that like, ooh, like feel good type of feeling. So I think it's really just having the understanding of, okay, this is where I'm at right now. But if I have the intention, let's say I want to be, closer to the version of my higher self, or, something like that, it's not going to be an instant thing. Like there's going to have to be baby steps essentially to get to that point. Because I don't think it's as easy as sometimes, like mentally, we're not able to just say, oh, let me just stop doing these things and I'm just going to vibrate higher. Like sometimes that's not as realistic for some people, certain habits. So I think that's just something important to note as well. Is just understanding that like delayed gratification, and you're still going to get like the same results, and it's going to be more long lasting. You might not get that immediate like dopamine rush in the moment. But I think that's what, when we think about like vibration, it's not just this instant, like this thing that just goes do 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 do. Like it's a flowy thing. Like, and that's exactly how it's supposed to be. We're not always like there's not necessarily this like it just goes like this. It really is like peaks.
I like that. Okay. Let me ask you this. What does vibrating higher mean to you? Like, does it relate to emotional states, consciousness, or moral values?
Give those three options again.
Does it relate to emotional states, consciousness, or moral values?
All of them. I mean, without like using your options, my answer would be being the most authentic version of myself is how I vibrate like higher. Because when I think about that, that involves like growth is really important to me, personal development work, shadow work. So like doing the mental and emotional work, but also expanding consciousness. Like it's kind of all connected.
Mm. Okay.
So to me, the more authentic that I am and true to who I am, like that's that's how I vibrate higher.
Mm. I like that. I like that. A thought that comes to me is when I think of vibrating higher, I think of letting go of who I think I am and letting go of who I think I'm not. You know, I feel like we put a lot of stress on ourselves because we see ourselves in these positions and we try to hold on to like titles or beingness, right? Based on the things that we're doing. And then we start to relate those to the things we're not doing as well. And that kind of makes our vibration low or weak because we think like, well, dang, if I'm not doing this and I see this person doing that, well, you know, what am I doing really? You know? So
Yeah.
I think vibrating higher is really just about release because, you know, like we stated before, we all naturally vibrate high, but it's us who bogs ourselves down, right? Who really lowers ourselves because we think we're not worthy or we think we're not doing enough or we're doing certain things, but it may not be getting the recognition that we wanted to get or whatever the case may be. So I think it's just really about releasing and just being in a natural state. Um, I think that's a really powerful statement. Um, what current habits or thought patterns do you feel might be holding you back?
For me, which I think we kind of touched on it in a previous episode about like kind of the imposter syndrome and things like that. That loop of thoughts
Mm-hmm.
definitely held me back for a long time. I'm still working through it, but it's not as impactful to me now.
Mm.
That's definitely like one of the biggest ones that I've had.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Oh, are you still here? Uh-oh, I think you froze. Wait for you to come back. All right. Uh, ladies and gentlemen, I
Oh,
think Felicia
are
is
you
frozen.
there?
Oh, there she goes. She's back. Oh, she's not. Dang. Dang. That's crazy. Uh, invite. Send email. Okay. Hold on one second, y'all. I'm gonna cut all this out. Don't worry. Hey, come on. Oh, there we go.
My goodness. I apologize.
Welcome back.
My gosh, y'all. We are still feeling the residual effects of this hurricane.
For real. Golly. This is how I do. I'm gonna cut all this out. So yeah,
Yeah. It said it was still recording. So it just like I exited, but if you were still in the meeting?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It still says recording on your end?
Okay. Yeah, it does.
Okay, cool, cool. Bloopers. What was that? Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, what current habits or thought patterns do you feel might be holding you back? Reflecting on these can lead to greater awareness. So I feel like the current habits or thought patterns that used to hold me back was really just a bit of doubt. You know what I'm saying? Like getting into the process of doing something, but not seeing it all the way through because I would have second thoughts about the process itself. And so I've witnessed something last week, that trusting and having faith in the process is key and so important, because it is the juice or the essence that gives fuel to the manifestation, for the manifestation to appear. Um, and I've witnessed that firsthand this week. It's an amazing realization of how powerful having faith and trusting in the process can be. And I've also made a video about this earlier, and I talked about being bold, right? Being bold and being confident. And all the good energy that you put out is going to come back to you in the same way that you put it out, right? And I truly believe that the more good energy that you put out into the universe, the more that you're going to receive. And it may not come all at once. It may not be instantaneously, but it always arrives in the most important times. And that's one thing that I feel like has been deleted out of my thought process, is just having doubt in the process. And I think it's a beautiful thing when you may have that feeling, and then whatever it is that is coming for you, it still comes to you. It just solidifies that all the work that you are doing is working out in your favor. Even though you may not see the apparent results of it, it's all working out in your favor. So that's probably one thing that I used to have, but I no longer have, right?
Right.
I got a couple of questions here, and they all relate to vibrating higher. This one talks about negative self-talk. How do your internal dialogues influence your self-perception? And what beliefs about yourself might be limiting your potential?
So it's in the thoughts and the beliefs that we have that essentially create how we view ourselves. It creates how we view the world, and how we show up in the world. So if you have the belief that you're not enough, most likely you're going to attract, relationships where it is projected that you're not enough. You're going to attract, you're not going to show up to your in your full capacity, because that is your belief. You're going to operate in that. So it's very important to challenge the way we think about ourselves, and really show ourselves grace, because we all have things. We all have things that it would be nice to just put it in in the drawer, lock it, never comes to see the light of day. We all have something similar to that we would rather not be shared, that we regret, that we may have previously had guilt or shame, or whatever type of negative feeling about. However, if we get stuck and lost in those feelings, that is naturally going to lower your vibration. Our beliefs are truly what drive us. Beliefs are thoughts in action. They're the thoughts and beliefs. Sorry, I put that backwards. Thoughts and beliefs create the behaviors, which behaviors are thoughts and beliefs in action. So it literally affects how we see ourselves and how we show up in the world. So if we don't challenge those things and reframe them, essentially, we're going to keep in this loop of attracting what's on that frequency. And most likely it's not going to be the things that serve our higher selves. But essentially it's going to be a lesson for us, because obviously we haven't gotten it yet. So we're gonna keep experiencing until we do understand.
Right.
and embody the lesson. But yeah, they completely are the foundation of our self-image.
Okay.
I forgot the second part of you. Well, it was the second question.
It was, what beliefs about yourself might be limiting your potential?
For me, I mean, like you, doubt. But I don't think that's like it's never gonna go away. I don't think we're ever gonna have, just 100% of the time, 100% confidence. Like, because if you do, I mean, you might want to check yourself anyway, because like we're human
Mm.
and it's natural. And especially as we transform and go through these like new shifts, and it's going to create like newness for us. So again, we kind of like go back to being beginners again. We go back to, and that creates a level of doubt. It creates a level of like uncertainty, but that's okay. Like I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with doubt. Now, if that is your baseline all the time, that's another story. But I think that can actually, that doubt essentially can fuel us. Like you said, just like transmuting the energy,
Yeah, I like that. That's good. I feel that. I
Did you
feel
have
as though,
any other?
huh?
Did you have any other?
Yeah. So when it comes to internal dialogues, I believe that just because it's internal doesn't mean it can't be externalized. Meaning that our brains are like computers, right? They take information, they process things, they compartmentalize everything that we put into it, and somehow or another it plays itself out in our bodies and brings it to reality. And so when it comes down to internal dialogues and how it influences self-perception, I believe that the way you think about yourself internally is going to reflect on the external. It's going to show. Like, have you ever met somebody and you see a look on their face and you ask them like, "Hey, what's up? You good? You look tired," or you look like you just look like you're deep in thought. And a lot of them don't recognize what they're doing, but it's showing. That's something I feel as though self-dialogue is something that you can't hide because it's going to express itself on your body some way, somehow. So I think it's important to really transmute that energy. Like, I'm big on transmutation because the energy is there, but it's all about how we use it. So
Right.
if you're having these negative dialogues about yourself, you have to really figure out, okay, why? I think, and this is just something that's helped me out along my journey, questioning the negative self-dialogue that you have about yourself can really help you get to the root cause as to why you're having this negative dialogue. Like, question it, and every time you question it, there's always this pause in between. And that pause in between gives you an opportunity to redirect the energy into a positive way. So it's like, well, maybe I'm not good enough. But why don't you think you're good enough? Well, I really don't know. See, you know you're good enough to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. So just go and do it.
Into my first module in the group coaching.
Yeah. That's that synergy right there. That's that connection.
Yeah, that is so important. I think that's like truly the foundation to us healing, is being able to reframe that. And I think the further you get on your healing journey, you go from someone sending you negative energy. Let's say somebody cussing at you because, maybe you cut them off in traffic or something, and they're sending you negative energy, and you're like, oh, I'm going to reciprocate. Like, I'm going to meet you where you are, right? And I'm going to essentially, like, we're just transferring back this like low vibration, back and forth. But then as you get further, it gets to a point where somebody sends you that negative energy, and you're like, oh, okay, how can I use it? Like, like you're just like, you know what? I'm really grateful for today. Like, you're just not as bothered by it. or
Mm.
you notice it, but it's just like, that ain't got nothing to do with me. You know, them being pissed has nothing to do with it. Them
Right.
coming out, nothing to do with me. You're able to get to a point of being able to transmute that energy and use it to better yourself. Use it to, you know, fuel
Mm.
what you need to do.
Mm. You know, that brings me to a quote that I was reading. I'm reading the Quran right now. I'm really just getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a phrase in there that makes me think about it. And I can't really quote it right now, but basically it talks about compounding interest, right? In a sense that when you do something good and you do something that is like close to good or something in that manner, then it starts to compound and that creates prosperity. And so we really have to compound interest on the positive beliefs that we have about ourselves. It doesn't matter how small it may be. You take that little bit and you add on to it until it grows mightier than the self-doubt that you have about yourself. We have to utilize the tools that we're given. Like you have amazing tools that a lot of people can utilize to help them overcome these limiting beliefs. And these conversations right here, like when I'm asking these questions in this manner, because I want people to understand that we go through these things too, but we have the tools to overcome because the way you're answering these questions, you're not just going into a self-deprecating aspect. You're actually going into I understand, I resonate with what this question is, and I know how to heal past what it is that is being asked. Because yes, I may have had limiting beliefs before, but I have tools to overcome those limiting beliefs. I have beliefs to overcome the limiting beliefs, right?
Right.
So that's powerful. I really like that. I really like that. And just to end this last question, what beliefs about yourself might be limiting your potential? Like we said before, doubt, I would say. Um, and that's really a belief, right? Because that comes with a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I found very helpful when it comes to, here's the thing, I feel like doubt is an extension of fear. And to me, fear is just an indicator of something that you need to face. Like the last episode, I think this was episode 2 or 3, we gave the acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real or face everything and rise. And so anytime you feel that feeling in your heart, it's because that it's something that you're not facing. Like it's a direction that you need to go in because there is strength on the other side of you facing whatever it is that you're afraid of or that you doubt. And that's where the true strength comes from. So use that as an indicator to let you know, or should I say, I use that as an indicator to let me know that, okay, this is the direction that I need to head towards because there's something greater on the other side of whatever it is that I perceive as doubt or what I perceive as fear. There's something greater on that other end. So I need to lean more into it. And the more you start to do that, the more fear looks smaller and smaller to you because it's just like, man, you just let me know where I need to go. So I'm just gonna head in that direction. Like, man, get out my way, watch out, move. So that's how you look at fear and doubt.
I like that. I like that.
Mm. Ooh, this is a good one. Are there relationships in your life that drain your energy, and how do these interactions affect your emotional and mental state? Mm.
I had a friend who was so sweet. Like, just, she was just so sweet. But every time I talked to her, she had just everything. And in my interacting with her, like I realized at one point, like, man, like this is draining me. Like I remember one time we had a conversation and I just like I was vibrating very high prior to our call. And I knew, like, it was one of those, like, okay, do I think I have the capacity for this conversation? Because it's probably going to be something. And we had a conversation through Snapchat.
Mm.
And when I tell you, after we had the conversation, it was like 3 messages back and forth. I was so, like, I just completely felt like not myself. Like, I was drained. I was just like, I was like irritated, and it was crazy. The energy transference was real. And so that was something that I realized, okay, this was like really one of the events that led me to see, like, I need to have boundaries. And of course,
Mm.
at the time, I didn't even know it was a boundary problem. However, I realized, like, yeah, I have to figure out, because, like, I can't just, like, have this happen and it shift my energy and my day and,
Mm.
how I'm showing up, essentially. So, yes, absolutely.
Mm.
Um, and you said what was the second part?
Oh, how do these interactions affect your emotional and mental state? So you kind of already answered
Oh,
that.
yeah.
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 Yeah. So me growing up, I had a friend, and he's still my friend to this day. And we was young, we was children, we was growing up trying to figure out life. But the environments that I put myself in weren't really conducive to my growth. Like growing up, I was a pretty good kid. I did okay. I did good in school. I was squared away. But then there were certain instances in my life that drove me down a different path. And when I should have got off that path, I kept going. And there was so many opportunities for me to get off on that path, but I never took them because I felt like, well, if I continue on this path, then there's going to be something. I'm going to become something greater because I like the results that I was getting from being on this path, right? So yeah, it drove me to be something that just wasn't me, right? It was like, okay, it was cool. I was getting respect and people were looking at me differently and I liked it, but I wasn't growing. Because if anything, I was growing in the opposite direction. And so it caused a rift between my family and it caused a rift within myself because I was torn in between the two. And I had to figure out what side I wanted to be on because the old adage is you can't serve two masters. You have to figure out what side of the fence you want to be on. So I chose my side, and here I am today, right? And here we are today. Me and my friend, we're still good friends to this day. And everything kind of worked. Everything worked out in his favor, in both our favors. But I learned a lot because had I not gone through, like I mentioned earlier about the guy, had I not gone through the things I went through, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. I wouldn't have the values, the principles, the morals, the code, the ethics. I wouldn't have the things that I have now had I not gone through those stages in my life. So it serves a purpose.
Everything.
Mm.
I think that's how I would answer. What do I need to do to what do I need to stop doing to naturally vibrate higher? It's essentially
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
left my mind.
It'll come back. It'll come back. Oh, by the way,
And I had the whole answer to life right here. And what is happening?
it'd be like that sometimes. Hey, I might say it.
Oh, like it was right there. But okay.
Hey, I might end up saying it and then just jog your memory right back.
Maybe.
Oh, and by the way, these questions are common areas to consider stopping. So that's why I'm asking these questions this way. I have 3 more questions to ask you. All right.
Oh, I thought of it.
Okay.
I think what I was gonna say, the key to it is to not resist.
Mm.
because the less we resist, like realizing that everything is happening for you. It's happening, like no matter, even if it's a bad thing, even if it's a hurricane, even if it's I like have negative $500 in my bank account, even like no matter what it is, there's an opportunity for growth in there. There's an opportunity for you to lose something and then make space for something greater. There's an opportunity for you to like learn some type of lesson. There's an opportunity for you to test your resilience. Like it's an opportunity for you to transmute the energy. So having the mindset of I'm going to flow versus resist and just allow life to life because it's never going to stop, and just keep taking, be selfish with energy, like keep taking that energy and transmuting it. Like that's all I got.
I like that. I like that. I like that. Release resistance. That's what you did just now. You just released resistance and it came right back to you.
There you go.
You know, I used to have a saying. I had it on my board for a long time, and it was just a stage in my life where it was so important. It was ease, flow, breathe, and let go. I believe that's what it was. Ease, flow, breathe, and let go. And in that order too, because you know you have to naturally put your body, like your nervous system, you have to relax it. You know, you have to put yourself in a relaxed state, and you have to breathe. And then once you breathe, you're allowing your energy to flow. And when you flow, you let go of that resistance. And I followed that pattern for a long time. Very helpful. Highly recommend.
Yeah, that was the release and surrender was like my mantras for the past couple years. Is like I'm gonna just surrender because hell, I've been resisting my whole life and look how that's worked out. I mean, not that it's bad. My life is amazing, but you get what I'm saying. There were some lessons that could have been learned way, you know, in a more fluid manner, a little easier on you, girl, if I just flowed and surrendered. So
that's all it's about. I mean, that's the thing though. You gotta learn. You gotta learn. Everybody has their
some of us a little more hard-headed. That's okay.
that kind of flows into this next question though. What fears hold you back from pursuing your goals? And how do you think overcoming these fears might change your life?
So I don't think it's a fear. I think it's maybe it is a fear. It's the fear of being seen, maybe. I don't know. Because I go live and stuff like that, but there's this belief that there's this thought that content creating, essentially like posting the videos and all that, is hard. And I mean, it obviously, like, you know, like the editing and the concepts and all that stuff, like it's, you know, it's definitely you definitely put some energy and effort into it, but I create this thought that it's just really hard, and so I don't record videos. I haven't been being consistent with showing up on social media, and essentially right now, like that's the phase that I'm like trying to grow into, is to shift from that belief. And that's just something I'm literally still just working through myself. Like I just posted my first video in weeks.
I saw.
I'm like, girl, you got to do something. I'm like challenging myself, but it's still something that I have to dig into to understand truly like where it came from. So I'm still doing the work, you know? Still
doing the work. Still showing up. That's all that matters. You know what that is? That is consistency. See, and I'm just add this in, right? People confuse consistency with consecutive. Consistency is just doing the work. It doesn't matter how much time lapses in between the work, but you continue to do the work. And we already know what consecutive is. It's back to back to back. Yeah. And a lot of us feel like we have to do things back to back to back to back. which in the beginning stages you have to in order to develop the habit and things of that nature. But once you start to build the consecutiveness, then you start to build the consistency, because now you can schedule out when to post. So maybe you can post, instead of one time every day, you can do 2 times every week or 3 times a week or something of that nature. And it doesn't have to be like every day. It can be like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Those are my post days, and that's consistency.
I was on somebody's live and they said something similar. She was just like, just do it. Like when whenever you feel that you have the momentum to do it, in that moment, just do it. Because even if you post once every 2 weeks or something, like that's still more than the none that you did the prior 2 weeks, So at the end of the day, like you said, that's, you become more consistent, and consistency will build or did I say that wrong? I feel like I said that wrong.
The consistency will build. The consistency will build.
What was the other word that you used?
Oh, the consecutive.
The consecutiveness will build into consistency, right? Am I saying that right? I don't know. That seems so hard, but yeah, I think I said it right.
The consecutiveness will build into the consistency. Yeah.
Okay.
You know what?
They both see words. I don't know what it is about today, but it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm getting back to the root of me doing content, because like I look back at some of my old videos, and a lot of them I was just doing from the heart, just for the love of sharing information. It wasn't until I went viral a few times that it started to be about the numbers. And I'm getting now back into the habit of just like doing it because I just enjoy doing it. Like I genuinely enjoy doing it anyway, but sometimes it can feel like work. But now that things are starting to shift, I feel like doing it from a place of just love is what got me to the places that I'm in now. Because I just did it for the love. I didn't care who liked it, who didn't like it. I didn't care about other people's opinions about what I'm talking about. I just did it because I loved it. And those who resonated with it resonated with,
Right.
And I feel like that is the thing that we have to prioritize, is that we're doing something that we don't see anybody else doing. Like, I don't see nobody else sharing the type of information you're sharing in the way that you're sharing it. And then vice versa. I don't see nobody sharing the information that I'm sharing in the way that I'm sharing it. Although there are those who are sharing this information similarly, but they're not doing it the same.
Yeah.
So it's a love.
When I get that doubt, because we both talked about that doubt that creeps in, I just always go back to the example about bread. Like when you go to the grocery store, there's how many, like you can't count how many like brands of bread.
Yeah.
They're getting bought.
Yeah.
Like they're getting bought. Like it's not, like you might be like, I ain't buying nothing but Sara Lee honey wheat. You know what I mean? And there's somebody that's like, oh yeah, that's trash. Like, they want the Farmer John, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not, and that's the thing, like having the understanding that we're not for everybody, and that's fine. Like we're not trying to attract everyone, because folks that it's not going to resonate for, those end up usually being the trolls and the people that don't give you, like they're the ones trying to give the negative energy, but yeah, we're not here for everyone. So like you said, exactly who the message is for, it's going to be received.
Exactly. Do you find yourself overly focused on like possessions or status? And if so, how does this influence your sense of fulfillment?
Yes. And I don't, when I was younger, I did. Like I had this thing, I wanted to be famous. I was going to have a whole Disney Channel show, and I had it all planned out. As I got into coaching and in this space, in the healing space, it was more so about helping other people. But I do have the understanding, and it's just crazy because I know I'm going to be speaking on stages.
Mm,
I know that I'm going to be at the point of like literally hundreds of thousands of people in my lives asking questions and getting coaching and having the coaching program running, and like I'm going to be known. However, that's not what drives me.
mm,
And hell, you could tell because your girl not not putting herself out there,
right.
you know, like um and that truly, like, I understand there's gonna be a time where my life isn't gonna be as normal as it is right now. But yeah, that it doesn't drive me. And I think that that's what makes all the difference is really the intention behind the work. You know, like our work, you can tell like where this is our passion.
Mm,
And one thing I thought about, like, this encompasses my whole life. Like I live and breathe this, you know, from even just my regular like 9 to 5 type of job with the crisis hotline
mm,
to, you know, doing coaching to doing my own work, like even in like raising my children. Like this is all about us growing into the best versions, creating a legacy.
mm.
It's not about like numbers and followers. There was a time that it was, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
had to shift out of that because usually if you're chasing after that type of thing, you're going to have very superficial, like a very superficial environment, you know,
Mm,
from your relationships that you cultivate, people you interact with, and the following. Like, you know, there's so many people that are just not authentic, not raw. And yeah, there, don't get me wrong, there's those people that do that and they still got a bunch of followers. But when you really think about like the impact, you know, and that's really what I'm, that's what my like drive is with
mm,
the impact.
mm.
I hope I pray I answered your question.
It does. It does. What comes to mind when you say it is like take the long road. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of the things that we're doing is it's longevity.
The
You know,
scenic route.
the scenic route. Exactly. It's a little better of a view.
Title of this episode. Mm,
The scenic route. Mm.
yes.
Okay, I like that. I like that. But that's what it is. It's the scenic route,
Yeah.
and it's more authentic that way because we're not trying to push just some random agenda on people just so we can make a quick buck or just so we can create a following at a fast pace. Like things like this take time, takes effort, takes patience, but it takes building ourselves up so that way when the environment presents itself and when the people start to show up, we are the people that we need to be for them, right?
Right.
That's what this whole process is about because we're essentially helping the people that were once in our shoes, like the ones that feel like they can't do it or they're not smart enough or they done had all these things happen to them, so there's no way they can be in these positions to help. But we were just like that. Like we come from
Yeah.
environments and we come from circumstances, situations that weren't favorable. And if I'm being honest, I never saw myself doing things like this, at least initially.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it was something in me that was compelling me to share in this manner. And I feel like I got some of that from my forefather, from my dad and my granddad, because they was always like on some preaching type stuff, right? And so I feel like that just kind of is instilled within me to really want to help other people in this manner. And yeah, I like that. Taking the long route, taking the senior route, taking the way that a lot of people don't want to take because everybody wants it now. Here's the thing.
That delayed gratification. They want it instant. And that's, you know,
Yeah.
social media is literally just, I mean, just in general society,
Mm.
that's made that like a priority. Like, okay, what can I get right now?
Right now. Yeah. And it don't work that way. Everybody wants to be an overnight success. I had a coach, or should I say, a coach to one of my coaches a long time ago. He was like, yeah, I'm an overnight success. It only took me 10 years to do it. You know, because everybody sees him in this light and they're like, dang, it feels as though you got here so quickly. Like, how did you do it? And he was like, I'm kind of just getting here, to be honest. I haven't really been in this position long. It's just a compound interest of all the work that I've been doing. You're just seeing the final result of all the work that I've been doing. And this here isn't even the final result. This is just like
stepping in on chapter 12.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't seen nothing yet. You think this is good, boy. Look, wait till I get where I'm really supposed to be. Now, that's a whole nother game, though. That's a whole nother conversation.
I mean, but that's really good. And like I said, that delayed gratification, like understanding that, you know, the difference between the I want it now versus like, okay, is this going to benefit me in the long run? That kind of goes into the other topic about, you know, not being patient, but actually practicing patience.
Facts. All right. So we're going to start talking about some questions for exploration. And this basically is going to go into what are the things that you can do to help you overcome some of the things that we had just recently or previously discussed. So one of the things that you can do is personal assessment. You can take a moment to like journal about what you feel and what you need to stop doing. And ask yourself this question: what insights arise from this exercise, right? Like, what things are coming up as you're going through this exercise? Like, take a piece of paper and say, things I need to stop doing. And allow yourself without resistance to go through this whole entire list and make it as long as you need it to be. And really assess what comes from this exercise. So that way you can identify the things that you need to stop doing in order for you to move forward, right? That's an exercise that y'all can take with you.
Oh, and I would even add on to that, when you do that, after you write down the list of things to take away, on the other side of that list, write what things that you can replace it with. Because I think sometimes we need a little, external motivation to kind of get us there. Because again, sometimes we may not be in the mental state to just, you know what, I'm gonna drop these things. It is very good to reflect on them and maybe see what need it's filling, these behaviors or thoughts or whatever the case may be. But think about what you can replace it with. And if you don't know where to start with that, dig into what things light you up, what things like make you just smile, what things have you, like, maybe there's a hobby or something that you've like wanted to do but you just never have the time, or whatever the case may be. Write down a couple things, and not all of them, like, it doesn't have to be about money, it doesn't have to like take a lot of time, but we can have a range of things from small to larger, but replace it with something so that again, you still get a dopamine hit. Like, okay, I wanted to go, well, say smoke again, I wanted to go smoke, but I know this is going to lower my vibration, so what can I replace this with? Okay, maybe let me go find a really good show that I want to binge watch, like, let me delve into that, or do karaoke, like, whatever the case, whatever floats your boat. But find something, a couple activities that you can like write down, whether it's I'm gonna go on a bike ride or whatever the case, so find something to transmute that energy, because you can't just take something away, like something has to fill that void.
I like that. Another thing you can do too, they can also go to the link in your description and get to your course, which helps other people to become greater versions of themselves too, right?
That right? Too. Listen.
What's the name of that course again?
Doing the shadow work coaching. Yeah. Okay. But in the link, you would just book a sales call, and then we'll determine what method I can best support you, whether it's one-on-one or group.
Mm.
And I do have some master classes in the works, so I'm excited about that too.
Hey, okay, fire. Looking forward. So there you go, y'all.
Still waiting for your link.
Mine.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I do have something that I'm working on. Right, I'm working on a 3-part series, called The First Breath, which is a meditation for beginners. Right.
Okay.
And in this series, I'm just gonna be going over like the basis of meditation, the beginning stages of what you need to do, the tools and things of that nature that you can use to help enhance your meditation, and even certain like hand gestures that help to you dive deeper into your meditation as well. So it's a 3-part series. Part 1 is out, but I haven't unleashed it to the public yet. It's kind of private because I'm working on like some private group things, but I'm gonna release it to the public soon, probably tomorrow. So yeah, be on the lookout for that 3-part series. First Breath.
So is that like TikTok or like YouTube or what?
Yeah, it'll be on TikTok and it'll be on YouTube as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for that. I like that though. I like that.
Yes.
What are some small actionable changes that you can implement in your daily life to stop habits that hinder your growth?
What are some daily habits that stop you from hindering your growth?
Well, I'll put it like this. What small actionable changes can you implement in your daily life to stop habits that hinder your growth? What small actionable changes can you implement today in your daily life to stop habits that hinder your growth?
I would say the challenge and reframe, which this is something that I again implement in my coaching, and I have like a worksheet and everything for it. But essentially, you challenge a thought or belief. You think, is this, let's say I'm not good enough, and that thought creates a feeling. What does that create? Like feelings of rejection, sadness, feeling, whatever the feeling may be. And then the action, if you challenge that thought, okay, I'm not good enough, like you said, well, why am I not good enough? If your reasons are not, like, you have to understand facts versus stories. Facts is something that I can argue in the court of law. A story is something that you've essentially created. So if you say, oh, because I said that I was going to post 3 times a week on TikTok, or 3 reels a week, or whatever the case may be, and I haven't done that, I'm a failure. I'm not good. Is that a fact or a story? Because is that like a determining thing to say that, oh, you're good enough if you post, et cetera, right? So if you can determine facts versus stories, and you can challenge that and reframe it and create a new belief, because we see that this is not an effective belief, right? And if we reframe it into something that serves us, oh, well, I am learning and I'm healing, but I'm like growing in my self-awareness. So I'm showing myself grace because I know that everything I do is not going to be perfect. Like, however you need to reframe it, that it sits in you and resonates a little bit. It may not even be where you're just like, oh yeah, I can see myself thinking this every day when I wake up. But if you have less resistance around it, and it's like, okay, I can see myself getting to that belief, that's a win. And at that point, I tell people, fake it till you make it, because we've challenged it, we've reframed it, and you might just have to keep affirming yourself until it becomes normal, until it becomes an actual belief. But that's something that you can actually do, and it's also known in like CBT, like cognitive behavioral therapy as well. That's essentially what you do with that too. So that is the first thing that I would tell people.
Now, I will say there's one thing that I kind of disagree with you a little bit. Said, fake it till you make it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that you need to be it until you see your destination. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and it's essentially the same thing.
I mean, it's essentially the same thing, but yeah, I mean, it's still a mindset, like how we, verbalizing it.
Yeah.
Because words are spells, words are power. So we're saying fake it, Yeah, that makes sense. I like that. I like that reframe.
Yeah, be it till you see your destination.
I like the reframe.
Because we don't fake over here. We authentic, All
right.
Try to keep it real over here. But I like that.
I said, I'll take that.
But yeah, that's honestly good. I mean, I have nothing to add on to that other than that. I mean, the small things implementing in your daily life, the little things like disruptors. Like that was something that somebody had taught me is like add little disruptors in your daily habits, into the habits that don't serve you. Like if you feel yourself walking into a habit that isn't really conducive to your growth, you have to create some sort of disruption because a habit is just a neural pathway that is already being connected into your brain to follow a certain pattern. And so in order for you to break up these neurons, right? These connections of these neurons in your brain, in order to break them, you have to create disruptions in your daily habits. So like if every day you wake up, you go to the bathroom, you turn the light on, you look in the mirror, you brush your teeth, if that's a habit that you want to redirect, then you do something different. Instead of the first thing you do when you wake up is turn the light on and look in the mirror and brush your teeth, you can wake up and go read, or you can wake up and go for a walk, because that's something that your brain isn't accustomed to you doing. And so it sends a signal to your brain saying that, oh, we're creating a new habit. This is something that this is something that we don't normally do. And so now you've disconnected that neuron and now it's attaching itself to a different neuron, which is the habit that you are currently creating, or new habit that you're creating. So that's something that has helped me a lot along my journey. And I've noticed like the changes in that. And it keeps me sharp too, because the brain is a mechanism that needs to be challenged in order for it to continue to grow. So the more you challenge your thought process, the more you challenge your habits, the more you're going to grow and the more you're going to seek growth too.
Yeah. And even like, again, with the challenging the growth too, is also like reading or podcasts. I'm a big podcast girl. So things like that are going to naturally raise your vibration as well. Getting in, listening to stuff that keeps you in a certain frequency. I used to listen to all the time, and I'm in a different phase now, but I used to listen to, was it Eric Thomas all the time? Is that, because he was just so motivating and just so like, it was like morning shower and listen. It would just really like wake the spirit up, So like listening, whatever you need to do, whether it's like, okay, maybe I need to listen to gospel every day, if that's your go-to or whatever the case may be, but stimulating your brain in some way, shape, or form. And, like whether you're reading or learning about something in some way with things that resonate on the frequency that you want to be on. We can't watch horror movies all day and expect like us to be just like vibrating so high,
That's true. I don't even like horror movies.
See, I do, but I go through these like I have these short spans of time where I can watch them, but even then there's still a limit to it.
Yeah.
And then there's like months, like I haven't watched a scary movie in, oh my goodness, I don't think since last year sometime. Just because I'm just like, yeah, I don't have the desire to just lower my vibration for no reason, I guess. I'm in a conservation of energy phase in my life.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, every once in a while I'm like, okay, I could watch a good one, but they're less about horror and it's more becoming like demonic and just wild stuff.
Yeah. My sister had a very interesting experience from watching a horror movie, and that is what steered me away from never watching a horror movie again. It was a very, very unusual circumstance that happened to her, and I was like, yeah, nah, I didn't know movies could do that to a person, but movies carry certain things in them, and sometimes they can attach themselves to you. So that's why I was like, nah, I'm not watching these no more. That's cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm like, I always felt like this weird person because that's what I'm thinking about. I'm like, I don't want no spirits coming over here. Like, I just saved my house. Like, we good over here. And
Yeah.
I'm about that when it comes to watching, like, because somebody invited me to watch something. I was like, I can't do it. But other people don't think about it like that. Like, it's just entertainment. But I'm like, okay, but hey, to each his own. But I'm just like, yeah, I'm too sensitive to energy to be playing with that right now.
Yeah. Nah, we don't play with that.
Yeah.
All right, last question. This is something that talks about community and support, which I feel like is so pivotal when it comes to growth, right? Because there are a lot of people who want to grow, but they feel like they can't because environment is more powerful than nature. And a lot of people have this natural instinct to vibrate high, right? But if you're in an environment that is not conducive to the natural vibration that you are already at, then you're going to vibrate at the level of that environment that you reside in. And so community and having support in that community or just support in general is so important. Like all the things that we talked about today are great, but I feel like nothing pales in comparison to having a community and having that support around you to solidify the person that you're becoming and to help you evolve into a greater version of yourself. So how am I engaging with a community of like-minded individuals help those in their journey?
I mean, the thing about it is if you surround yourself by rich people, or if you surround yourself with entrepreneurs, you're most likely going to develop those similar habits and maybe even thoughts and beliefs that they have, like you are who you hang around essentially. So having community again that are vibrating on a frequency that serves you is so important because as we can see, like energy is everywhere, it's everything. So who we connect with on any level in any way, really, like we said, entertainment, people, it makes all the difference on our journey because either it's going to hinder us and make us go a little further along that scenic route, or we're going to essentially create like these like cheat codes, if you will, in the game, in the matrix, where, we're like, it's a catalyst to our growth and to our healing. So that's one thing for me. And I'm still even doing that. Like I had this season in the past month where I lost connections, people that like that were friends at one point and we just weren't in alignment anymore. And it's in that I was like, okay, this is definitely, it felt like a loss initially. I had to process the feelings, but in coming out on the other side, I realized this is making space for truly more of what I need. And I'm in this season of like, I'm in multiple coaching programs and I'm in this season of developing deeper connections with the people that are on the same path as me, that are very focused on their own development, their own growth and healing. And it's, it's about them being that, like in every aspect, like showing up in that way in every aspect of their life. And that influences me, it inspires me. So making sure that your community is essentially like-minded, or even if you may not be on that same wavelength, but if you surround yourself by people, you get yourself a mentor or whatever, like it's gonna rub off on you.
Mm.
And it's going to create pathways essentially for you to be in these new spaces and in these new rooms that you
Mm.
might have not gotten otherwise.
True that. True that. Powerful stuff. Community is strong. And when you're in the right community, you grow right. And that's why I always say we do better when we grow together. So let's continue to grow with one another, because the more I grow, the more you grow. The more you grow, the more I grow. And it's just a constant state of evolution of evolving each other. So it's important. Like, I love doing these type of things and these talking about these topics, because I grow as we go through these topics, and then you grow as well, because there's new insights to be had. So yeah, there you have it, folks. Another legendary episode in the bag. This has been.
I think we didn't get deep into being patient and practicing patience, but I think we can save that for next episode.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking that
we got a little deeper, but that was good. It was definitely it was exactly what the episode needed it to be.
Yeah.
I liked how it flowed. So
yeah.
We're gonna be back.
Oh yeah, we'll be back with more. There's always something new to learn. And we're all on this journey together. We're all growing, we're all evolving. And it's these conversations that help bring more awareness to others. And it also helps to elevate your consciousness and keep yourself at a high vibration too, because the things that you consume are the things that you become essentially. So this is just another stepping stone on your pathway to success. So we're glad that we're able to be a part of that journey. And we're also glad to have you along this journey with us as well. So you're greatly appreciated. I appreciate you, Felicia, and I appreciate those listeners out there watching this as well. Y'all are truly great.
Yes.
Yeah.
So until next time, y'all.
You got any last words? Anything you want to share?
The only thing I'll say is, if you want to focus on improving your vibration, just take times throughout your day to think about your senses. Because everything, what we hear, what we see, what we taste, what we smell, everything is either going to increase or decrease it. So just every once in a while, just take notice. What am I eating? Is this gonna, let me notice, how do I feel after it? After I ate that burger, do I feel sluggish? Is that the feeling I want to feel? So just self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
Those little baby steps are still progress. But we're here to support you. So definitely feel free to leave comments if this resonated for you, and let us know what came up for you.
Be bold in your decisions.
Okay.
Stop being a little.
Okay.
My bad. I ain't going there, but be bold. Be bold in everything that you do. Don't let nobody tell you what you can or can't do. Don't let nobody knock your experience, because you're going through this process. This is your process, right?
Yeah.
You're the main character now.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
I'm telling you. Listen. You're the main character in this whole matrix. So treat yourself like that. If you don't treat yourself like the main character in your story, then you're allowing somebody else to be the author and the architect.
Yeah.
And
can't nobody treat you worse than you treat you, so treat yourself good.
Yeah. Treat yourself godly.
Period.
Also, I have a new website up now. Magic Mind. Everybody knows by now, they should know by now, that Magic Mind is a performance elixir shot, and it's something that I use that helps me to perform at a high level, and it keeps me at a high level. And I finally have my own website now. I've been working on it for a while. It's finally here. And I have a lot of great offers as well. So if you want to check it out, if you want to really step into that greatness, the link is going to be in my description. I'll leave it right here so you can check it out. Also, I got a new clothing line as well, Peace in Progress. And it is a very thought-provoking clothing line. It's something that I hold near and dear to my heart. And there's a quote on the back of it. Basically, it says that where the absence of God is never away from us, the absence of awareness is what is missing. And I kind of paraphrase that a little bit, but basically that's what it is. It's like God is always with us, but the thing that's not with us is the awareness that God is with us, which is why we have these things that we have. Which is why we have these doubts. It's because we're not operating with that God-like mindset. And Manly P. Hall said this one time. He said that don't think about God, don't think of God, but think with God, because God is always thinking with you. And so once you start to connect the dots in that thought process, you'll start to recognize all of the opportunities and possibilities that are available for you. But all you have to do is just take that step and have that awareness to know that God is always with you. So yeah, if you feel that way, link in the description. I'll leave it up here for y'all to see as well. So that's that.
Okay, y'all. Well, that's a good way to end it today. We appreciate y'all. We have so much gratitude for sharing space with us. So until next time.
Peace and progress.